Believe it or not, the future of an entire nation's food security could hinge on a chicken. Specifically, what kind of chicken to raise. We're talking about Burkina Faso, and this isn't just about what's for dinner, you know? This is a massive decision about money, health, and even national identity. So yeah, let's dive right in.
Okay, let's get right to the heart of the problem with these two numbers. 9 kilograms versus 21 kilograms. So the average person in Burkina Faso gets about 9 kilos of meat a year. But the Food and Agriculture Organization says a healthy diet needs more like 21. That is a huge gap. It's a national challenge, really, and figuring out how to close that gap is, well, it's urgent.
All right, so here's how we're going to tackle this. First, we'll dig into the chicken dilemma itself. Then we'll check out two totally different ways to solve it: the big industrial profit machine and the kind of chaotic urban scramble. After that, we'll look at a really cool third option, the one secret ingredient that affects them all, and wrap up with the big choice they're facing. Okay, Section 1, Burkina Faso's chicken dilemma. So you might be asking, why all the fuss about chicken? Well, it's because in Burkina Faso, poultry is so much more than just another food source. It's absolutely central to the country's stability and its future. Think about it this way. On one hand, chicken farming is a huge part of the economy. It creates jobs, brings in money for so many families, especially for young people. But on the other hand, it's literally the main way people get their animal protein. It's both the engine driving the economy and the fuel feeding the people. It's that important.
So that leads to the million-dollar question, right? How on earth do you rapidly scale up meat production to fill that protein gap? When you need a ton of meat and you need it fast, where do you even begin? Well, one very popular answer is simple: go big. And that brings us to our second section, the industrial profit machine. This is the argument for scale. Just think of it like that, a machine. It's all about data, efficiency, and size. The goal here is brutally simple: make the most meat for the least amount of money, period. Now, to really get how this machine works, you need to know one key term: FCR. That stands for Feed Conversion Ratio. It sounds technical, but it's actually pretty simple. It's just a measure of efficiency. How much feed does it take to get 1 kilogram of chicken? The lower that number, the better. A low FCR means you're super efficient and super profitable. And this chart, wow, this really spells it out. A study from Bobo Dioulasso looked at profit per chicken. On the left, you see small farms. We're talking fewer than 400 chickens. They're making around 530 CFA per bird. Now look at the right. Large farms with over 1,000 chickens are pulling in 822 CFA. That's a massive difference. You can see right there the incredible pressure small farmers are under just to keep up. So, from a purely numbers perspective, the conclusion is crystal clear. If you want to make the most money, you've got to go big. The industrial model just seems to make the most economic sense. Case closed, right? Well, not so fast. Is it really the only way?
Okay, let's totally switch gears. We're moving away from those huge, organized farms and into a completely different world. It's what's bubbling up in and around the cities, and we're calling it the urban scramble. And yeah, scramble is the perfect word. It's flexible, it's easy to get into, but man, is it chaotic. And this slide just lays out the two philosophies side by side. On the one hand, you've got the industrial machine, modern breeds, special industrial feed, all data-driven, and you need a ton of cash to get started. On the other hand, you've got the urban scramble. We're talking tough local chickens, random crossbreeds, eating whatever's around, scraps, bugs, you name it. There's not much of a plan, but hey, almost anyone can get started. But, and this is a big but, this scramble comes with some really serious dangers. Researchers are warning that this kind of random breeding could actually destroy the unique genetics of local chickens forever. And what's even scarier is the overuse of antibiotics. That creates a risk of antibiotic resistance. You know, superbugs. And that's not just a local problem. Those things don't care about borders. They can become a threat to all of us. Okay, so we've got these two extremes, right? The profit machine that's super efficient but hard to get into, and the urban scramble that's easy for anyone but super risky. It kind of makes you wonder, isn't there a better way, a third option? Well, that's exactly what people started searching for. And that brings us to this, the poulet du Faso, which basically means chicken of Faso. Now, this is not just some random chicken. This is a designer chicken, if you will. It's a very specific crossbreed between a super tough local rooster and a French sasso hen, which is famous for its tasty meat. It's the best of both worlds, by design.
And look at how organized this is. This is a program, not a scramble. First, they do the strategic crossbreeding. You get the local toughness and the faster growth. Then, step 2, every single chick gets vaccinated, protecting it from major diseases like Newcastle. And finally, step 3, they get a wing tag so you can trace them. It's about quality control from the very beginning all the way to your plate. It's a whole system.
Okay, so we've got our 3 models, the machine, the scramble, and the designer chicken. But here's the thing, it doesn't matter which one you pick. They all slam into the exact same wall. The biggest challenge of all. And that's the secret ingredient we mentioned, feed. Just look at this chart, it's incredible. For your average farmer, feed costs are 70%. 70! That's nearly 3/4 of their entire budget. That one single cost can decide if a farm succeeds or fails. Bottom line, if you can't get a handle on feed costs, none of these systems are going to work in the long run.
But here's the really cool part. People are getting incredibly creative and finding solutions locally. They're using stuff like processed manioc peels, they're farming insects, things like black soldier flies for protein. They're sprouting grains to make them more nutritious. They're even using household waste and leftovers from farming. This kind of local innovation, it just might be the key to making the whole thing work.
And listen, just because some of these ideas sound simple, like using insects for feed, don't think this is just guesswork. There is some serious, complex science going on behind the scenes. You have scientists calculating the exact genetic value of different breeds, and others figuring out the perfect nutritional mix for a new type of feed. To build a system that actually lasts, you need that level of scientific planning.
Which brings us right back to where we started, the crossroads. Burkina Faso is standing at a fork in the road. And the choice they make here, well, it's going to shape their entire food system for generations. So let's just lay it all out one last time, nice and clear. You have the industrial machine, best for profit and efficiency, but you need deep pockets and you risk losing genetic diversity. Then there's the urban scramble. Super easy for anyone to start, but it's a gamble with genetics and public health. And finally, the poulet du Faso. It's a great mix of local taste and good growth, but it only works if you have a really organized system that everyone buys into. So at the end of the day, this isn't really about choosing the best chicken. The real question is much bigger. What kind of food system does a country want to build? One that's all about profit? One that's all about making it easy for anyone to participate? Or do you try to find that tricky balance between profit, public health, and protecting your own heritage? It's all right there on a single plate. The future is still up for grabs. So what would you do?